Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. When Chicago Bulls acquired 32-year-old DeMar DeRozan from San Antonio Spurs in the offseason, experienced pundits criticized the move. Much of the criticism was down to the fact that the Bulls had committed to pay a player who seemed past his best $82 million over 3 years. One leading national newspaper even called the move a head-scratcher. Now, since his entrance into the league in 2009, DeRozan's game has basically remained the same. He relies heavily on mid-range jumpers for his points and rarely shoots three-pointers. But a look at the big numbers this season shows the Bulls may have even signed the DeRozan on the cheap. The 32-year-old, known as Debo around the league, is averaging 26.9 points, 5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game this season. His field goal shooting efficiency is 49.4%, while his free throw percentage is 85.8. All those numbers I mentioned just now are higher than his career averages across all those matrices. Now, he has helped the Bulls win a conference best 25 games from their 35 outings so far this season, with the Chicago franchise on an 8-game win streak. And DeRozan has vaulted himself into the early MVP conversation with consecutive buzzer-beating game winners and NBA first. On Monday, he put up 29 points as the Bulls beat the Magic 102-98. Here's the action.
Eastern Conference Player of the Week, DeMar DeRozan, and his Chicago Bulls playing host to the Orlando Magic. And in the first, well, it's a couple of other Bulls guards, Lonzo Ball to Zach Lavine at the other end for the slam. And then later in the first, Franz Wagner with the alley-oop to Wendell Carter Jr. for the Magic. The Magic up by 11 at that point. Here comes DeMar DeRozan, though. Driving in the paint, pull-up jumper from short range. That one goes down off the glass. Then DeRozan pulls up again and hits another jumper. These all from sort of that Michael Jordan range that he's becoming familiar with in Chicago. 29 points on the game for DeRozan. We're tied at 30 now. Lavine for the wide open 3. And at the break, Chicago by 5. To the third quarter now. It's DeRozan finding Lavine for the turnaround 3 as he just sort of spins after catching it and knocks that one down. Then Franz Wagner drives down the lane, gets the and one. He would make the free throw as well, cuts the lead down to 3. Now Lavine, three-pointer, money, 58-53. R.J. Hampton to Gary Harris for the Magic, and that cuts the lead down to 3. Then it's Wagner driving down the lane and scoring. He had 22 points and 5 rebounds. The lead is down to 1. Zach Lavine, step-back jumper. Cash here. This makes it 90-87. Then Lavine steps back and drills a three-pointer, just so deadly from out there. 27 points on the game as Chicago wins a close one. Your final score, 102-98.
Joining us to discuss whether the Bulls are genuine threats in the Eastern Conference is our expert, Alister Albert. In case you think Alister only knows basketball, the man is an accomplished actor. Just reminding you, appearing in massive films such as James Bond's Spectre and Marvel's superhero blockbuster Doctor Strange with one of my favorite actors, Benedict Cumberbatch. Alister, welcome back to the SportsMax Zone, my friend. How are you?
Thanks for having me, and Happy New Year, guys, to you guys and also the viewers as well.
Excellent, man. Same to you as well. All right, let's talk about them Bulls, because DeMar DeRozan he seems to be enjoying an Indian summer. He seems to have revived, looking like the DeMar DeRozan who was the best player in Toronto before he moved on. Firstly, talk about him, then we'll move to the team. DeMar DeRozan's performance in a Bulls uniform so far.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan has had a bit of a revitalization of his career with the Chicago Bulls, and it's been really impressive to see. He's definitely, like you said, an MVP candidate. He's definitely an all-star this year. There's no doubts about it. You know that they're going to at least have 2 representatives at the All-Star game this year, and he's shooting a career high in terms of points per game, 26.9, as you mentioned earlier on, and he's just meshing very well with Zach Lavine, who many people thought was a bit of a redundant addition when DeMar DeRozan was acquired from the Spurs in the offseason. But, he's playing very well. He's playing off the ball really well. Like you said earlier on in your summary, he hasn't really changed his game very much. He's just shooting those mid-range shots very expertly, very Michael Jordan-esque like. Of course, he patterned his game after Kobe Bryant, so that kind of trickles down from Michael Jordan in that sort of way. And he's just stuck to his strengths. The mid-range game, he only takes about 2 3-pointers a game in the NBA, and he's just doing what he's good at. He's conquered and mastered his craft of the mid-range game, and he's beaten defenses who are not really equipped for that anymore, because everyone is playing a fast-paced transition game and defense. So praises to him for coming in and meshing with the team, playing really well under Billy Donovan, and just pushing this team to the first and the best seed in the East right now.
Yeah, and I want to ask personally, and it's not with the benefit of hindsight, but I just felt that when he was in San Antonio, the kind of hard taskmaster that Pop is, I didn't see DeRozan flourishing under that. I don't see him as a guy who likes tough love. I see him as more of an arm around the shoulder kind of guy, a guy who you have to make him feel loved and important and take your time with him. Some players you talk to in a raised tone of voice. DeMar, you sit beside him, you lock your hands and you say, I think you can do better here and there. He appreciates that more. Do you think he's getting more of that in Chicago than he got at the Spurs? And at the Spurs, he looked to be washed up as if he was going downhill fast. Doesn't look that way here in Chicago.
Let's make no mistake about it. This guy's from Compton, LA. He's a tough guy, from the mean streets of LA.
But tough guys need love, Alister.
But he gets that tough love from Pop, and like you said, it's a structured system that probably restricted his abilities. Although Pop allowed him to play that mid-range game and kind of flourish with that in that regard. Billy Donovan is a different coach. When he coached with Florida, the Florida Gators as an NCAA coach, and also with the Oklahoma City Thunder when he moved over to the pro ranks, he has allowed a more free-flowing style of basketball, which is one of my concerns for this team moving forward, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But in terms of DeMar DeRozan and Zach Lavine and just the team in general, he allows them to play a little bit of a freestyle play of basketball. There's a lot of high screen and rolls. When they get into their offensive sets, they probably don't get past the third option. They don't really go deep into offensive sets, which shows that he just allows the team to kind of run through, the first and second options most of the time, and, just allow them to do their thing. You have Alonzo Ball, who's a really good facilitator at point guard, Caruso, who also does a very, very good job passing the ball when Lonzo was out, and Kobe White also, although he's a little more of an offensive guard, but that free-flowing, facilitative type of offense that Billy Donovan runs just allows these guys to just show off their skills. And I think, like you said, it allows DeMar DeRozan to kind of just do his thing. And why I'm a bit concerned about that is the offensive sets become very predictable. Yes. Once you start to load up on these two guys, it's going to be a problem. And I want to know what they'll do about that in the playoffs. But, for now, it's a brilliant basketball, entertaining basketball for the regular season, and we'll see how far they go.
After even though I was a huge Golden State Warriors supporter when they had KD there, still I'm a big Warriors fan. But it was boring, Alister, to have Warriors Cavaliers for 4 years straight in the NBA final. We had a final where the Raptors beat the Warriors there. We've had Miami Heat in a final, and we had the Bucks last year and the Suns winning it. So the point I'm making with that observation is this. People shouldn't sneeze at the prospect of a Chicago Bulls going deep into the playoffs and perhaps reaching the promised land of having a 50-50 chance to fight for the Larry O'Brien trophy. We know that we're a long way away from there, but given the basketball that they're playing and given the fact that the Heat went to the final, we didn't see that happening at the start of the season. The Suns went to an NBA final, we didn't see that at the start of a season. The Bucks won an NBA title, we didn't see that at the start of the season. The Bulls are due some respect, if even on that basis alone.
Definitely do their respect, but I'm just going to throw some caution to the wind here in terms of what their team and their team makeup is. When you look at the stats that they put out, another concerning thing for me is that they're 27th in the league in rebounds. Vucevic is playing really well. He's taken about 11.6 boards a game, but he's the only credible big man on that team. If something happens to him, what's going to happen, and he's not really much of a defensive big man. And the next thing is assists, like I mentioned. They're really relying on DeMar DeRozan and Zach Lavine to kind of create and do a lot of creation of their own shots. They don't move the ball around very much. Even in a lot of their wins, they have been actually on the lesser side of the box score in terms of assists. So they don't move their ball around very much. And also compounding that, they're 15th in the league in pace. So, they have a very average pace. They don't push the ball in transition a lot. They don't get up and down the court very much, which kind of leaves them shorthanded when it comes to slow down, deliberate defensive schemes against them in the playoffs. So when you see it comes to that time in the playoffs, I'm very concerned for them. I'm really, really concerned about them. But the regular season has been very entertaining, and they're definitely nothing to sneeze at. If they could correct those issues and maybe get some big men in before the trade deadline ends, some good defensive bigs there are many free agents on the market at the moment that they could possibly pick up. Not big names, but those who could help them inside, and they could correct those rebounding and ball movement issues, I think they'll have a much better chance. For now, they just seem like a very good regular season team, and I'm a bit shaky on them on the playoffs and where they could go.
That's why you're the expert for to come here and tell us that. One final thing on these Bulls. The playmaking, I don't want to say evolution because I don't know if his play has evolved, but how do you rate the improvement, if you're going to say improvement, where Lonzo Ball is concerned and his playmaking ability since he came into the league not so long ago?
Lonzo, I don't think he's really, well, I wouldn't say that he hasn't improved. He has improved from his time, from what we've seen when he was in UCLA, when he played for the Lakers and the Pelicans. But now he has a team, like we said, and a coaching system that allows him to play a lot more free. He's allowed to take a lot more free-point shots. His shot is a lot more, it seems to be fixed. He's taking and shooting a lot more confidently, and kind of defenses now need to honor that a little bit. So in terms of his shooting evolution and him being able to be an offensive threat for the Bulls, I think that has come along very well. In terms of his assists and playmaking, he's only averaging about 5 assists a game, which don't sound like very much for a point guard in this day and age. But, he's still putting himself in positions to facilitate for the guys and, and kind of get the ball around when he needs to. So his confidence, I think, has taken a big leap and has been evolving as his career has progressed, and I think that will help him as the season goes on. So that's what I have to say about him, and hopefully that all helps them out with the team chemistry and just the attacking mentality when it comes to the playoffs, which they will need.
Last, I'm stealing time. I think though that Lonzo Ball for me is my point guard. He is one-paced and he makes his team one-paced. Disagree or agree? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. He's playing at a very, controlled pace, and, he's allowing the guys to get into their spots at the right positions and everything. And that definitely helps. And like we said, 15th in pace, just league average, but they're playing very controlled and poised. And that also comes down to Lonzo Ball facilitating very well.
Hear you on that. Thank you very much for your time and your expertise as usual, my friend. We'll talk again.
See you later, guys. Thank you.
Good. Alister Albert there with his expert eye on the NBA, specifically talking about the Chicago Bulls leading the Eastern Conference. And in DeMar DeRozan and Zach Lavine, they have two guys who look headed to the NBA All-Star Weekend next month.